Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. For some reason, we are going back to the Fortebraccio. No particular reason. We actually covered them fairly recently with the addition of the epic doctrines, because of course they now get that stun doctrine. Because obviously they were amazing when they released in Season 3, then they got pretty heavily nerfed, to the point where they're pretty much unusable. And then of course they got introduced this stun doctrine. This one here, which applies stun to enemy units while the unit is bracing, and that suddenly makes them effectively a lot more viable again, so they've now become sort of a lot more of an option. Yeah, don't know why we're revisiting them, I just wanted to play them, really. So it made a lot more sense in my mind to justify playing them if we could actually do a video on them, so here we are. Unit-wise, I really like them. I think they're a really fun unit. There's not really anything else quite like them in the same way. We have other pike units in the game. We have halberdiers, we have pike militia, we have some charging pike units. Nothing is sort of a pike phalanx in the same way as the Fortebraccios are. These proper pike blocks. It works how you would think a pike unit should work, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable for me as a unit. Of course, you go down the top line, particularly for things like the double strike, extra bracing damage and things like that. So yeah, it's really the kind of the way to go. A nice unit, 32-man stack. Not a ton of hit points, not a great deal of defensive stats. As they start getting hit by archers, once an enemy unit gets in and amongst them, it'll kill them remarkably quickly. But that's not what they're all about. They're all about holding that line, keeping everything in front of them. Now they have the stun, now they've got this stun doctrine, they can actually do that. So that's what kind of makes them effective. Kit-wise, I think it's pretty cheap. Well, for a heroic era, 4100, actually, probably quite expensive, actually. Retop them up. But anyway, let's hop into a few battles, see what we can do, see who we can stab to death with our Pike Phalanx. See you all in the battle. So, we kick things off on the map that no one can find, of course, Hidden City. I'm going to have to come up with some new jokes for this map name. But we immediately go up the siege tower with our forties. We've got friendly units in front, so I'm not excessively worried. Just clear through a little bit of crap, pretty much low tier stuff. Pretty much get insta-killed by forties in this situation. And we've got a clear run off the top, but we've got this unit of stalwarts. I don't want to get too close, I clearly outranged them. Probably the best thing they could do in this situation might be to actually advance, but as we throw in that friendly treb, it basically favoured them because it meant I couldn't advance to support the paladins that charge in. Quite a few of the paladins got killed. It wasn't really a great treb because we were overwhelming them with units anyway. But with them dead, we're basically onto the A point straight from the off. So I'm getting there and I'm looking what's coming. I tend to prefer pushing past points. I think that's how you hold and win points. If you wait for the enemy to come to you, you tend to be in a worse situation. So I'm pushing into these enemy forties. They break formation because they've got stuff around them. And look at that, pretty much insta-kills them. 15, 20 kills, something like that. Almost immediately. Grab ourselves a hero kill. As a fair bit of stuff starts to turn up, I form into line. Particularly with those Sealadars, maybe a bit nervous. So I take that step back to give me some room. That might have been a mistake. Maybe if I'd pushed a bit closer, we would have caught a few more of them and actually got some kills on them. But since they were backing off and we had got paladins pushing from the other way, I pulled back to try and support this side because we want to make sure we win this fight. And paladins can be a little bit of a challenging unit to deal with for forties, so it's kind of good to have friendly support here because it knocks them out of formation, means they're much easier to deal with. But as that happens, we start to get the enemy basically regrouping on the other side, and they start to push back in. Got a couple of paladins here, and this is where I think you've got to be brave with your forties and bold. The paladins kind of make a mistake going in the siege tower. I can knock down, kill the hero, and I just send the unit in, and I actually put them on melee, and because they just basically stab, but they crit hit on the back of those paladins because they take double damage from behind, then we pretty much insta-kill them. I could have obviously hung back and dealt with the units on the wall because I was concerned those condos were going to charge me and try and sort of flank round behind me as I was flanking around behind the paladins. But I think trying to be aggressive, it meant we could kill them very quickly. And if those condos had made a move, I think we'd have had a reasonable chance of being able to turn around and lock them down in the tower. So we've got A point, cleared the wall. Kind of what am I thinking now? A little bit of a tough one here. Don't have many friendly, or any friendly melee units with me. This is a unit that definitely works better with friendly support. Being on its own like this, I'm quite vulnerable. And as we're around this corner, I think, yep, that was a mistake. Let's definitely not go that way. There's quite a lot of crap there. And on a large open space like that, they will just get behind me. The enemy heroes will just run behind me and disrupt the formation, and I'll be dead. And as you can see, you saw the enemy berserkers just coming around the corner there. So they did actually come to see if I was still there. And, you know, had they made a significant push while I was around that corner, I would have definitely been killed. We get a few of these serfs coming up. 40s just don't work on staircases. They're like Daleks. It just doesn't happen for them. They just go all screwy. They get a little bit of damage, but not a lot. Golden rule for 40s, never fight them on a staircase. As we come down here though, we have got friendly shield maidens, which is kind of bolstering me, and we get pushed by this unit of iron caps and some berserkers. Thankfully the shield maidens go in, which gives me room, and we get friendly cav turning up, because otherwise we'd have been in trouble there, because they back up with an imp pike advance. And we actually start to take a chunk of damage here, but with the amount of stuff we had in front, particularly those shield maidens, it actually means I get to reform. And we're already up to 60 kills now. That stuff we just flattened in there. And as we start to get pushed by that Falco, I was going to back off, but with the team pushing, I decided just to go for it. We ran the corner into a boatload of stuff. The camera angle slightly glitches out. You can see it thinks some of the unit is deploying on the roof. But as we get in there, look at the amount of damage we do against these units inside this gateway. Just cuts them to pieces. Real easy kills in this sort of situation. We've got a nice friendly shield unit in front of us. So the enemy can't get to us to damage us, and yet we can pretty well easily wipe them. Just on the last little bits, I tend to put the unit into melee, trying to get a block formation to, you know, angle into those corners. It's not worth it. Stick the unit into melee mode. They actually do really good damage like that. It's just you're losing some of that bracing stun advantage. But with the unit on supply, we'd actually only lost one unit, and we're now up almost 100 kills and a hero kill. So we're really not doing too badly. And now I'm kind of wanting to push on. Get this random dual blade. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. It almost gets on his horse, but for some reason it doesn't quite work for him. He still gets himself locked down and killed. And now we really need to be thinking about pressuring the B point. We've got our teamies on there. We have got a bit of a setup going on. I'm a little bit nervous about this alleyway. 1 for cav, 2 for the amount of infantry that's coming down. But I also kind of want to get a bit round the corner and kind of with friendly units to my back a little bit more. So that's what I decided to do. And as we set up here, we get the cav coming in. So I quickly managed to get into formation. We're not quite really far enough to catch all of them, but we still managed to get a little bit of it, get a couple of kills on it. Don't wipe the full unit, but maybe we got 5 or 6. Is that 5 or 6 cavalry bodies there? And considering that looks like monastic, so it's a golden era unit, that is well worth doing. And yes, I did have a brief panic when I thought they were enemy hussars just coming in on the left. Nearly jumped out my chair. So then we're pushing on. I know I've got my teammate coming up with me, with some berserkers. They don't normally defend this supply point, so I'm hoping it should be a relatively easy cap. A little bit nervous about the cav, so I'm trying to keep the 40s close at hand so I can stick them into that brace formation really quickly if this enemy cav decides to do anything. Not quite sure what that short sword was thinking. I guess he thought he was maybe going to come and ult the unit, something like that. I managed to lock him down with my poleaxe ult. But we've still got 1 unit of enemy 40s to deal with. They're still in this unit. Managed to sneak the berserkers in there around the back, and that means I can push in. And then once I'm pretty confident we disrupted the formation, I can push my unit in closer and wait for it, and it's boom, and then all the damage, and they instantly die. And 40s do that. They have insane DPS. When you get them set up like that against an unshielded unit that can't block the damage, you know, they just hit in a real tight block like this. So much damage. Combined with a stun, it just wipes units out, you know, really almost instantly, like we saw on those 40s there. But I was quite pleased at this point. I've had over 100 kills, and so far we've only lost 1 guy. And now, this is probably going to be the harder one though. We've now got to basically clear out the enemy main base. And there's some really good hiding places on this map where they can basically stack shields and ranged units. And by doing that, they can basically make these hard points in the map, which are really hard to get through as a unit. So I'm starting to bring my unit up. I definitely do not want to be the first guy around that corner. They've got some stalwarts, they've got a little bit of range. Not too much range though, to be honest, which is kind of surprising. A couple of these Celadars, I think they must have just aggroed, and the guy who probably controlled them probably was cursing their name as they did that, but I think they basically got too close to a unit and aggroed. Like that Condo there, look, did the same sort of thing, just aggroed in to try and thought he was going to one-man hero, but it didn't really work for him. So I'm basically waiting for stuff to build up. I'm waiting for my opportunity. I don't want to be number 1 man round the corner on an unshielded unit of fairly fragile 40s. They're a good unit, but they really need more than that. We get hit by that short sword attack. He very nearly got himself killed. If I'd have been a bit more switched on, I would have been able to get him locked with the Rough Justice, and he would have certainly died. Because as he jumped into that unit on the front of the forties, he lost pretty much 3/4 of his hit points. Very nearly got himself insta-killed. But it's pretty hard to find my opportunity of where, you know, how we're going to get around this corner. We don't have any friendly shields. Got quite a lot of friendly ranged here, which is putting in a lot of support. But without friendly shields to sort of clear that corner, it's quite a tough one. We actually start to get shot a little bit by some of that darn Pavese on the other side of the map. So I pull back very slightly because I didn't really fancy that. But we get a friendly unit of land knights charging in. And that really opens up the opportunity. In a way that they don't do a lot, but they just sort of break the enemy formation because they get the condos to charge out. That enables me to go around and get friendly ASAPs coming in. I form a brace line and basically deal with the full unit of condos. A couple of them escape because they get around basically on the side of me and a little bit of a pest there and get a few kills on me. Just slot down that short sword who's damaging our unit. I can't then get my unit to move in, which is kind of frustrating because I want to go in and support the units here. But the team has done enough damage, basically, and what's left of the Sealadars and enemy Pike units we can wipe out, and we can push in, and we've broken one of the enemy hardpoints now. We've completely cleared units out that corner. Friendly units can get in on the front. Now things are starting to look a lot better for us. Trying to just use them in melee mode now to just deal with some of these enemy heroes. Got a few enemy stalwarts here, but I decide to push in and basically brace into over the little hedge. And we basically kill what's left of the enemy unit of Pavese. And we're really looking good now because we've clearly cleared out this point and we're starting to push on to the enemy back. I'm trying to push through because I'm basically trying to stop their reinforcement path. It sort of works. We managed to get the kill on that Adachi, but I unfortunately get myself killed and a Maul manages to get round behind us. And obviously a Maul in a unit like that is basically an insta-kill from an enemy hero point of view. So it manages to wipe out our unit. But we still managed to get 148 unit kills and 2 hero kills with them. So no real complaints about how they did. And they're just such an enjoyable unit to use. Honestly, second perhaps to my Paladins, I really enjoy playing them. I just find the brace, and particularly the bracing stun, to be a really satisfying element of this unit. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a lot more Conqueror's Blade content. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.